Martell Holt's empire of swagger, cash, and carefully curated Instagram selfies might just be on the verge of complete annihilation. Yes, the same Martell who had us all questioning whether charisma could actually be a superpower is now teetering on the edge of public humiliation. So spectacular, it makes a reality TV finale look like a warm-up act. How did he go from mogul of smooth talk and expensive watches to, well, whatever the chaos is that we're about to witness, and more importantly, has Melody Holt's strategic courtroom victory finally triggered a chain reaction that could obliterate the man we thought had it all? Stick around because this is about to get messy. Messy in ways that not even the most dramatic reunion episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville could prepare you for. Are you ready to dive into the scandal, the secrets, and the sweet, sweet downfall? Let's peel back the curtain and see just how deep this rabbit hole goes. Martell Holt at 45 is a man who once seemed untouchable, a figure whose charm, confidence, and flashy lifestyle made him the center of attention wherever he went. But recent months have turned his carefully curated world into a spectacle of chaos and public scrutiny. What was once a seemingly flawless public persona now shows cracks as every decision, misstep, and hidden conflict comes under a microscope. And it seems that Melody Holt's strategic courtroom victory may have set off a chain reaction that Martell is completely unprepared for. For years, Martell built an image of a successful, charismatic mogul who could navigate any situation with a smile and a witty remark, while hiding the turmoil behind the camera lens. But the carefully constructed facade is starting to crumble as whispers of financial mismanagement, personal scandals, and public humiliation swirl relentlessly around him. Sources close to the situation reveal that Martell's once loyal inner circle has begun to distance themselves, quietly observing the unraveling spectacle. And even anonymous insiders hint that the man who once seemed to command every room is now making frantic calls at odd hours, scrambling to maintain control over a reality that is rapidly slipping through his fingers. Public fascination has reached fever pitch with social media feeds flooded with speculation, memes and commentary dissecting every move, every post, and every alleged misstep. And the narrative has shifted from admiration to morbid curiosity, as fans and critics alike wonder how a man who had it all could now be facing such visible instability. Leaked reports carefully worded by unnamed sources paint a picture of a lavish lifestyle that may no longer be sustainable, with spending sprees on luxury cars, private jets, and opulent vacations now interpreted as signs of desperation rather than confidence. Observers point out that the difference between charisma and delusion can be subtle, and in Martell's case, a line appears to have been crossed with his once strategic public appearances now read as attempts to convince the world he is still in control, while the cracks in his empire grow larger with each passing day. Behind closed doors, sources suggest that tensions are high. Conflicts over minor issues escalate into full-blown disputes, and Martell's reaction to challenges is increasingly erratic, fueling speculation that he is both isolated and panicking. The public has been quick to notice, analyzing interactions, body language, and social media posts for clues about his unraveling, while the presence of Melody Holt looms like a shadow of strategy and patience, showing a calm, collected approach in contrast to the chaos-consuming Martell's world. The contrast between their trajectories is stark, with Melody quietly building, reclaiming her narrative and turning what was once a bitter personal battle into a demonstration of resilience and strategic mastery, while Martell appears trapped in a cycle of overconfidence, denial, and mounting pressure. Financial whispers add another layer of tension, with insiders claiming that investments are souring, lawsuits are piling up, and creditors are circling, all feeding the narrative that Martell's empire may be closer to collapse than anyone imagined. Every post, every public appearance, every attempt to maintain a veneer of control is now scrutinized under a lens of skepticism, and it becomes clear that charisma alone cannot offset documented evidence, legal challenges, and public perception that has begun to turn against him. Observers note that the once commanding presence Martell maintained is being replaced by a man visibly struggling to retain authority, and the combination of financial strain. Public criticism and personal setbacks creates a storm that threatens to engulf him entirely. Meanwhile, Melody's strategic silence and deliberate actions amplify the contrast, turning public fascination into a narrative, where Martell is increasingly the cautionary tale and Melody is the figure of calculated empowerment. The pressure intensifies daily as rumors, alleged leaks, and insider commentary continued to circulate, showing a man whose public image is faltering under scrutiny and a private life in disarray. And the story has evolved beyond personal drama into a spectacle, where every action has consequences and every miscalculation is magnified in the eyes of the public. Martell's situation now seems precarious, a delicate balance between ego and reality, as the forces he once controlled appear to be turning against him and the world watches, waiting for the moment when the carefully maintained facade gives way entirely. The combination of financial pressure, public scrutiny, and strategic moves by Melody Holt creates a tension that is almost palpable, a dramatic unfolding that captivates audiences while underscoring a lesson in the limits of charm, ego, and the illusion of control. Each new development, each whispered report, each viral meme adds weight to the narrative that Martell's reign, once solid and untouchable, is now at serious risk. And the public watches with a mixture of fascination and anticipation, witnessing what may be one of the most dramatic unravelings of a public figure in recent memory, as Martell Holt's world continues to spiral. The consequences of his overconfidence and miscalculations are becoming impossible to ignore, and sources suggest that the lavish lifestyle he once flaunted is now unraveling under a combination of financial strain and public scrutiny, with creditors reportedly circling in lawsuits threatening to erode what remains of his fortune, while every desperate attempt to maintain appearances only adds to the narrative of a man losing control. The public fascination grows with each passing day as leaked messages, alleged insider accounts, and viral speculation paint a picture of chaos behind the scenes, showing a man whose charisma and charm are failing to mask a reality filled with instability, poor decisions, and mounting pressures that seem to compound with every interaction. Industry insiders claim that Martell's relationships with business partners and associates are deteriorating rapidly, with once loyal colleagues distancing themselves out of fear of being caught in the crossfire of his increasingly erratic behavior, and anonymous sources hint that meetings have become tense and confrontational, with advisors walking on eggshells to avoid triggering another public meltdown. Meanwhile, Melody Holt continues her calculated ascent, quietly building her empire and reclaiming her narrative, while Martell's every move is dissected and mocked online, creating a dramatic contrast between her composed resilience and his frantic attempts to hold on to relevance. And this contrast only amplifies public interest in the saga. Rumors circulate of Martell making last-minute financial maneuvers, attempting to salvage investments and secure his status. Yet these actions appear increasingly reactive rather than strategic, revealing a man struggling to adapt to circumstances he never expected to face. And every public appearance now carries the weight of scrutiny, with fans and critics alike quick to note any sign of weakness or desperation. Alleged footage of confrontations, both personal and professional, has surfaced online, fueling debates about his decision-making, accountability, and character. And while some still cling to nostalgia for the charismatic figure he once was, the prevailing narrative paints a portrait of a man whose ego may have finally outpaced his judgment, leaving him vulnerable to public judgment and personal collapse. The speculation surrounding his personal life has intensified, with whispers of new relationships, questionable decisions, and attempts to regain the upper hand. Yet these efforts seem to backfire, creating more fodder for online discourse and memes that relentlessly highlight his apparent decline. Analysts point out that Martell's inability to control the narrative contrasts sharply with Melody's strategic silence and selective engagement, showing a clear shift in public perception as the audience increasingly roots for her success while watching his missteps accumulate, reinforcing the idea that charm alone cannot outweigh preparation, resilience, and strategic thinking. Financial rumors continue to dominate conversations with reports of underperforming ventures, mounting debts, and legal complications that